In recent months, I've heard that FSD has made great progress. There were a lot of issues that were not solved well previously have all been resolved. So I'm very excited today with Joe to actually test out this FSD. You can see that the version is V12.3.6. We're going to drive a really long distance today. I would like to check out this version with you. At the same time, we would like to take this opportunity to actually compare and see where we fall short and where we're doing well and how to improve. I think it's a very, very good technology exchange. Right now, we've already set the navigation. The first stop is going to be the visitor center at Stanford, and then we're going to go to Google's visitor center. Let's go. Now we can see that it's been really smooth. At very low speed, we're able to activate the FSD. Now we start to turn left. Why did it stop? Oh, giving way to the pedestrian. Now, here we are. We can see a lot of small roads, a lot of stop signs, but not many cars or people. We can also see that it's been quite hesitant. There's a lot of thinking and hesitation. It's not really smooth at the moment. Yeah, it seems quite stagnant. Look, this is very strange. Actually, our human eyes cannot see this, but on the SR, we can see. Have you noticed that? That means Tesla is using some techniques to marking precise maps. Right. So for these complicated sections, I think there's definitely some actions that's been taken, because theoretically, it shouldn't be able to see what we cannot see. Right. So this is quite challenging. There's a man blocking a car, asking for directions. What should he do? There's also a stop sign. Should it go around or follow? It followed. What should we do now? All right. It hesitated for a while before following. But look here, it didn't mark the road as having roadblocks, but actually it took a detour. This is quite good. The whole system feels pretty smooth. The front and rear brakes, that means that it fully comprehends the situation. You can see there's marking on the map. You can see there's a red light. And currently the screen shows a red light. We turn right at the intersection just now. The FSD changes 2 lanes, but it's been quite smooth. Actually, this acceleration feels very comfortable, not too fast or too slow. Well, look here. If I were driving, I would have to actually hesitate, because it just crossed the road with great determination. Wow. The traffic light was not really obvious, honestly. I might have to stop and hesitate. I did not see the traffic light at all. I was wondering how to go, but it already crossed. I think we should applaud here. Now we've arrived at the first destination, and it's looking for a parking space. Look, it's driving at 4 miles per hour, but speed limit is 15. All right, it thinks that it's here. Let's see what it does. It's still driving slowly. It hesitated for maybe 2 seconds before turning the corner. It's turning. Right now, probably we don't have the automatic activation of auto parking. Maybe we still have to help and select a parking space. Well, let's see how it goes. It's now driving automatically. Oh, what is it doing? Let me see. Let's say if I just don't take over, what's going to happen? Maybe it should stop. Stopping here means that we've reached our destination. So we just used the standard profile. How did you feel? I think it's been quite stable, except that some places maybe it was too hesitant, it wasn't really decisive. But most of the time, I felt safe and very comfortable. It did not really take up too much time, and it felt like a very regular driver. Of course, we just experienced a journey with very light traffic, not many people, not many cars, but it's performed very smoothly in such good road condition. But a few things, for example, in SR, there were still a lot of things that were not marked. That's the first thing. The second thing is that when we were passing a complicated road section, actually, there were things that were invisible to our eyes that were marked out. And number three, if maybe the starting and parking can be done better, then it would be even better. For example, we can get on the car, we can start the car. When we get off the car, we just need to put it in P gear. Then that would be cool. In the future, our XNGP is going to make all of these possible. All right, now we've activated FSD. Now let's take a look. The next journey. Look. Here it hesitated. This is clearly a two-way intersection. It probably paused for maybe a few tenths of a second, maybe 300 to 400 milliseconds before going forward. But that hesitation felt very comfortable. It did not feel unsafe. It's still very comfortable. Now here, see, it's quite weird. It stopped. What happened? Let's check the navigation because I wanted to test out the U-turn. That's why I placed a stop here. I thought it was gonna make a U-turn and come back. It seems like it's not happening. This is weird. Any explanation? Because the car is stopped now. Yes, it stopped for no reason. Right. Let me try to analyze this. Any instructions, explanations? Let's see our trip. But you just end the trip. Are we here? But you just ended the trip. Did we start the next journey? No. This is weird. We ended the trip, and then it started. And then it just drives aimlessly. Maybe we have discovered a bug in the FSD. Because right now it's driving without any destination or navigation. This is so interesting. Where is it taking us? I suspect that FSD has developed some sort of wisdom. Maybe it's trying to buy us some coffee. Maybe it's taking us to visit Tesla's headquarters. I think this is very interesting. I don't want to take over just yet. Let's see where it's going. Because right now, we don't have any navigation on. And it's just driving aimlessly. But it feels pretty smoothly. Let's see if it can turn. If it doesn't, it's just driving forward in a straight line. Well, we can only go so far. Right now I'm prepared to take over at any time because we don't have navigation. Alright, let's just keep waiting to see where it will end up. At the next intersection, is it going to turn left or right or stop? I think maybe it's going to turn right and then continue driving. It's turning right. Seems like there's a logic behind it that help it decide where to go. See? I mean, if I were driving, I would have to look very carefully because driving in Silicon Valley can be very fast, especially when it's smaller roads cutting into bigger ones. But do we have any destinations really? Because it's completely driving itself without navigation. I don't know where it's taking us. Maybe just for a ride in Silicon Valley. This road may continue forever. This is quite a long road. So should we pull over anyway? And maybe set up the next destination. Yeah, I can set up the next destination now. See if it can follow. The next destination is Google's Visitor Center. Alright, let's take a look. I think once we start the navigation, it just gets off the highway. And the switch has been very natural and smooth. Indeed, I mean, that's my biggest impression. I think it's just like a skillful human driver. It's been great. Now let's see how it drives. It just got into the bike lane, but now it cuts back to a regular lane. I think it's turning right. This is left turn on green, right? Left turn on green. But you're allowed to turn right on red, right? No issue. Now we make a big turn. This feels like a U-turn. Alright, let's see. Left turn. Feels really smooth. And also cutting into the lane was very fast and accurate. I mean, if I can be honest here, as sort of like a new driver in California, FSD is definitely driving better than me in most situations. I think I wouldn't be able to be so smooth and skillful. Right now it's stopped. Is it waiting for this girl on the bicycle? And then it just stopped. I think the waiting was about 5 seconds before driving forward again. Right. So hesitation still happens, but not for too long. Now this is a very, very big turn. FSD handled it beautifully. I think that was like definitely a 99 out of 100. What is the remaining one? Well, it should have told me in the SR before turning because it sort of surprised me a little bit. I did not know how it happened, but when it happened, I thought it makes sense. Now we are in the lobby of Google's visitor office, right? It's been great. The driving experience has been great. That journey was really, really smooth. So I think coming up, we should try the aggressive profile. All right, let's do it. So this is the new office of OpenAI. All right, see. After navigation, it automatically starts. This is what I want to achieve in the future, meaning that once you set up the navigation in the parking lot, the car should immediately start. It can be FSD or XNGP, and then it just drives itself. We just need to look ahead. You can choose to leave your hands on the wheel or maybe just here on your laps, and that's enough. Making sure that you are prepared to take over. If we can achieve that, maybe by this time next year, we can achieve maybe one takeover every 300 kilometers. That's about the distance of driving for a week, right? If for any regular individual, so on average, it's just one takeover every week. You would feel really comfortable. It seems like that was a left turn light. Tesla did not go. Right now, it turns right. I mean, it drove for a little bit, but it stopped. maybe there were some issues with traffic light recognition. I feel like XPENG XNGP is doing a lot better in China, right, with traffic lights. Indeed. I mean, this is one of our strengths. I mean, why did that car turn left? Well, he might be getting a little impatient waiting. That happens in the States as well. Well, when it comes to recognizing traffic lights, we've put a lot of work because traffic lights are really crucial to safety. That's why we've been working on AI recognition of traffic lights, control and everything. And in some areas, we can even connect to the cloud network that allow us to actually give you a second countdown before the light turns. So definitely I have confidence that with traffic lights in China, we're significantly stronger. Now I see it's still red light, but Tesla moved, I think, by about 5 cm to 10 cm, just a little bit. Well, when the light turned left just now, we missed it. And I think because right now we're not being recognized by the traffic lights where we are, so that's why the light is not turning green. Well, fortunately, there's no car behind us. Otherwise, I would have taken over. Because we've been waiting here for over a minute. Because no one urged me behind, I mean, I can still wait. Otherwise, if I were in China, I would definitely take over. Yes, we've been waiting for a while. Red has turned green, green has turned red for several times. This is a bit weird. Yeah, because traffic lights in the States at some intersections can actually detect whether the car has been waiting. So we'll only turn green when it detects that you are already waiting, because maybe we are right now, not on the left turn lane. All right, let's drive over there then. Now I'm taking over. Okay, let's see what's going to happen. Because we did not have any green. Yeah, this is kind of strange. And I'm a little worried about FSD. And I think if it's a rule-based situation, traffic lights for Tesla, it's going to be very challenging. It might take them very long to enter China. But with AI training, maybe just a few months. Because the logic of AI is that the more complicated the situation is, the better it will perform over human. But if the environment is very simple and consistent, the story might be different. Now we just merge into very, very dense traffic. It's been smooth. But we did not have enough acceleration. The car behind actually gave way. What about in China? Well, in China, if you wanted to switch lanes, the car behind you or the original car would just accelerate, blocking you. I mean, to be honest, I feel a little bit nervous right now. Why? Because the speed right now is 120. If it changes lanes very frequently and quickly, I feel like it's a bit risky. But if it's stable, it's fine. So you can see that I have both of my hands on the steering wheel. I was at 60 to 70 miles in the city. I felt very stable. And this is just different. Actually, I'm not worried. It's just about adaptability. Because if I were here for a while, adapted to, the situation, I would feel more relieved. This reminds me of my trip to Germany last year because there was no speed limit in Germany. I was driving at 210 on the highway. And I think the highest I got was close to 220. At that time, my hands were shaking slightly on the steering wheel. And it took me a while to stabilize because at 210, 218, you felt like you would easily lose control if you make any tiny mistake. Could you clearly feel that the car was floating? Did you feel that? Not really. We were driving G9. It felt very smooth and stable. The reason for me driving there is because I wouldn't be able to do that in China, right? At such high speed for several hours. I never had that experience. And also in Germany on the highway, it's not because that they have really good roads. I mean, typically you only have 2 lanes on the highway. and maybe the highway next to it is 2 to 3 lanes, and it's different in different places. And then, oh my God, if the car next to you is driving at, for example, 120, 140, and it just suddenly cuts into your lane, what should you do? But it never happened, because in Germany, everyone follows rules very strictly. See, the deceleration is actually quite good. Yes, very stable. It didn't feel sudden or uncomfortable. And actually, just to give you a teaser of our July version, our XNGP, it's going to improve the longitudinal acceleration and deceleration a lot. Stay tuned. Yeah, I look forward to it. In the States, you actually don't have the ETCP toll gates like in China. Correct. Well, this makes things a lot easier because for autonomous driving, those toll gates or toll booths are not easy to handle. You may need to manually take over. Toll gates in China, again, just to give you an idea, we are testing a solution. Within our autonomous driving solution, we can actually handle the toll booth, which can be very challenging because if we can handle that, then China's autonomous driving capabilities will be greatly enhanced when it comes to connecting highways with cities. And this is also a cool thing. Now, this FSD and XNGP, I think one of the greatest advantage is that, first of all, we're not only a software and AI provider, we're also an OEM and also the seller of cars. The capabilities that we have as an OEM is that we can produce cheaper, more affordable cars with autonomous driving capability, and we can achieve a larger scale. I mean, we can sell cars in China, in the States, and even around the world. And then we can also enable that capability. In the future, autonomous driving must also learn the habit of drivers, and there's twofold. The first one is basically how you drive, right? Your driving habits. The other, more importantly, is that, let's say, if the driver of the car is someone like me, right, who likes to complain a lot and comment a lot. I just gave a lot of comments on the on the autonomous driving capability, and if it really understands my words, for example, if you're afraid, then I'll drive slower. If you think like the speed change from 75 to 63 was weird, then I can keep the speed constant at 75. Then it would be a true intelligent. Right? So I think it's really necessary to combine these two habits, right? The history habit and the real-time sort of demand. Combining these two would make AI truly intelligent. And that is why I really think that eventually autonomous driving cars will beat 99.99% of drivers. Well, not just this time. I've been having the same impression for a while. I think U.S. highways are more complicated in China because the speed is higher. But city roads in China are like 10 times more challenging because we have a lot of road situations, and a lot of participants like cars, construction vehicles, bicycles, pedestrians, and also you have some sporty equipment and some two-wheel vehicles. So this kind of combination is particularly common in Chinese cities or smaller towns, which pose a lot of difficulty and challenges for AI. And in rural China, and even in my own neighborhood, there's so many speed bumps everywhere, and also a lot of violation of traffic rules in smaller towns as well. And I think in the States, it's relatively clearer when it comes to rules and road conditions. So I think that there's still a lot of room for improvement in China when it comes to handling the situation. And China has 300 million different electric bikes and bicycle combinations. Bikes can be 15 kilometers per hour, but e-bikes can be 30 kilometers per hour, right? So how do you drive in such a situation? Actually, a few days ago, I was riding the same version of FSD in California. And at a moment, I thought that I was going to crash because there was a car cutting into it. It actually hesitated before cutting, but my car actually did not slow down at all. It was just moving forward at a constant speed, even after sounding the alarm. But if it were in China, our XNGP would definitely slow down a little bit, because in China, maybe the car next to you would just brake for another 0.5 seconds or 0.2 seconds. You would have crashed. I think in California and the US, you have a lot more these big circles, a lot more than in China. And typically my experience in the US is that you can't slow down, but in China you definitely need to slow down. And also in China, when you see a yellow light, you need to slow down. But here, you need to observe at a constant speed. Keep going. For sure, this kind of situation is not common in China. Now, first of all, we're not going to drive at 70 miles when we encounter such big turns. But again, each country has different policies and regulations, and each country has different roles and infrastructure. If a driver from a different country comes here to drive, it would not be the same. I would like to add that because I've been to India several times, and I think Indian cities are even more complicated than China's cities. I drove to suburban areas in India, and I had to roll down the window when I turned because I have to push people away and say, please, please, before I can turn right or left. It's never happened in any other country to me. So I think autonomous driving is going to be a lot more difficult in India. Now, Tesla and XPENG are both, among all OEMs, been committed and dedicated in full-stack autonomous driving. Tesla and us, we've been doing self-research for many years, and Tesla is a benchmark here, but its FSD is not truly implemented in China because of various reasons. FSD or XNGP, in fact, AI is mainly used as visual perception, but when it comes to forecasting, planning, and control system, it's still rule-based. But the world is so big, you can't really describe everything by rules. For example, how to turn right. There could be billions of combinations or possibilities. So there's no way to cover all of them 100% with rules. Look, it was trying to cut the lane, but there was actually this car on the left that was very, very close to me. I don't think it should have cut. Now, on this, XPENG was not as aggressive on the highway. Because right now, we've reached 65 miles. I feel very stable. So XNGP would have kept the speed because it feels most comfortable and safest. Look, there's a bird. I'll see if it recognizes it. He can't tell. It's a bird. There's no identification of the bird right now. XPENG, now in China, is able to identify a small number of animals, but it's definitely not enough. There's something that we need to work on. Our subsequent AI training would definitely include identification of animals. So our model will have common sense in the future. At the end of 2017 and beginning of 2018, I was doing autonomous driving. At that time, we discovered a squirrel on the road. And that triggered us to actually talk about how to identify animals such as cats, dogs, squirrels, chickens, ducks. In fact, these are all things that autonomous driving will need to identify in the future to include more animals or irregular participants or objects. These are corner cases, right? Actually, a combination of objects is theoretically infinite. So rule-based solution makes it very difficult to cover all situations. But with AI model, as long as you have enough data, you can make a big difference. This is also what I believe. I think XPENG and Tesla are trying to make 20,000 to 30,000 US dollars products that include full autonomous driving capability. and we need to be able to cover all countries. I mean, we definitely need AI to help us to have this skillful driver experience. And I think both XPENG and Tesla are trying to develop towards this direction, full autonomous driving cars between $20,000 to $30,000. Now, I'm basically holding the steering wheel with my hands firmly, but still, we get alarm and reminder to keep my hands on the wheel. Now, the trick here is that if I put both hands on the wheel, then the alarm would not sound. But both hands on the wheel can be tiring. And also, even for human drivers, when you take over, maybe one hand is enough in many situations. So this is a bit rigid. Well, actually, this is not a software issue. This is about hardware, cost saving in hardware, because the electric steering wheel versus this kind of torque power control steering wheel is significantly more expensive. So XPENG actually invested quite heavily in order to truly elevate the user experience. Indeed, we've done a lot. For example, in the future, we're going to allow people outside of the car to see your driving in autonomous mode. And this is about safety as well. And starting from Q4 this year, all of our future cars will basically have electric steering wheels. That is to say, you just need to put your hands on top of the steering wheel. It's going to know that your hands are on. You don't need to actually place any force or exert any force on the left or right. Now, this FSD 12.4.1, I hear that they're going to have two new features. The first one is that you don't have to put your hands here, and the other is that it's going to be even more skillful. The experience can be smoother. I like both of these new features if it actually can be achieved. I really look forward to it. Yeah, we definitely look forward for Tesla to come to China and compete and compare with XPENG as well. Now, my impression is that the human-car interaction in XNGP is actually superior than Tesla. Many interactions feels more natural, especially your voice assistant. Yes, I especially want to share that XPENG this year in 2024, we actually put a lot of effort into our customer experience. For example, this year, we have a small upgrade every month and then a big upgrade the next month on autonomous driving. So everyone can see that we're, in terms of safety, user experience, we're doing even better than before. Because customer experience is something where you can actually achieve 90% of results with 80% of technology. I think Tesla's technology definitely is even more hardcore than ours. This means that actually they've put more effort into the underlying technology, but experience is relatively sort of American style. Yeah, especially when it comes to the voice assistant. XPENG's voice assistant is very smooth and natural, especially after recent upgrades. But when I talk to Tesla's voice assistant, it's sometimes difficult to even have it to navigate. I think our voice assistant is definitely one of the best in China.